When I joined the behavioral analytics firm in Riverton, I thought I had finally found the kind of job people pretend to have in movies. Dim lights, expensive monitors, jargon that sounded important but meant nothing. The company, Halcyon Metrics, occupied 3 floors of a glass building overlooking the river. My role was simple on paper: analyze sentiment patterns for corporate reputation stabilization. In reality, it meant staring at graphs showing how angry strangers felt online. The salary was generous, the hours calm, the expectations vague. But from day one, something felt off. I introduced myself over coffee. "Good to have you," my supervisor, Mara, said, smiling with eyes that didn't match. Everyone else nodded politely, but when I looked away, their faces flickered, disgust, almost imperceptible yet unmistakable. I told myself I imagined it, new job nerves, but the feeling persisted. If I spoke in meetings, colleagues nodded, then their eyes lingered too long. Passing desks, I overheard whispers stopping mid-word. 2 analysts once stared at me and flinched. I checked myself obsessively. Breath clean, shirt pressed, shoes polished. Nothing explained it. It spread beyond the office. The cafe barista slid my cup across the counter in silence. On the subway, people moved away. A man bumped into me outside a bookstore, muttering venom I hadn't provoked. Even my sister, Clara, canceled plans. Texts went unanswered. Calls went to voicemail. I searched my reflection nightly for some visible deformity. My face was ordinary. It felt like the world had agreed I was contaminated. 3 months in, Halcyon launched the Index. Mara explained it in a team meeting. Our goal is to measure how sentiment cascades, not just online, offline. A graph appeared, nodes connected, some glowing red. Imagine hostility as a measurable vector. What if it spreads like a pathogen? One person becomes a catalyst. The red nodes pulsed faintly. I felt the diagram staring at me. Afterwards, I overheard 2 coworkers whisper, "Is he aware?" "Doesn't matter. It's working." I froze. I tried harder. Pastries, volunteering, forced laughter. The reactions worsened. Conversations died. Colleagues recoiled. Once, a junior analyst stared at my reflection in the restroom with open hatred. I stopped trying, arriving late, leaving early, ignoring emails. One afternoon, I snapped. "If you have something to say, just say it," I barked. Mara blinked. "Are you feeling okay?" Her clinical concern was worse than contempt. I walked out. The first hallucination happened that night. I was brushing my teeth when I noticed someone behind me in the mirror. A man in a dark raincoat, face obscured by a tight, transparent hood. His outline shimmered faintly like underwater. I spun around. Nothing. He was gone, but sleep never came. He appeared everywhere. Corners of my vision, reflective surfaces, across the river at dusk. He never moved toward me. He simply watched. At work, I overheard a chilling conversation. "He's destabilizing faster than expected," a voice said. Mara stood inside a conference room with 2 men in sharp suits. "The emotional contagion curve is exponential," she said. "That's why this is valuable," one man replied. My reflection in the glass trembled. Behind me, faintly, the figure appeared again. 2 weeks later, the first death. Owen, a data engineer, failed to show up. Evening News reported a violent incident. No suspects, no explanation.
The office atmosphere shifted. Fear replaced disgust. I overheard whispers near the printers. He saw something. Silence fell when I approached. My stomach dropped. I dug deeper. Using my credentials, I found Quiet Index Initiative. It wasn't about reputation. It was a field experiment. A single target, me, was exposed to controlled hostility. Emotional deterioration was part of the metric. Attached were incident reports. Owen described seeing a man in a plastic hood hours before his death. Another participant reported the same figure at her bed. She died violently. They weren't just turning people against me, they were documenting something else. I confronted Mara, dropping the logs on her desk. "You weren't supposed to access that," she said calmly. "You made me a lab rat," I spat. Her voice softened. "Your background made you ideal. The incident in Brookfield 5 years ago." Memories flooded. Rain-slick pavement, headlights, Daniel stepping into the street. I froze, told police he stumbled, told myself the same story for years. "You selected me because guilt would make hostility spread faster," I whispered. "It did," she said. Behind her, in the reflection of a framed certificate, he appeared, the man in the plastic hood, closer than ever. Mara followed my gaze, her face drained of color. The next week unraveled. 2 more employees died. Each described the same figure. Halcyon announced temporary closure. Boxes filled the office, desks dismantled, hard drives removed. Mara approached me outside. "We terminated the study," she said. "You think paperwork ends this?" I asked. "We don't know what we triggered," she admitted. Triggered, as if guilt were a switch, as if hatred was a virus. When anger was no longer orchestrated, something strange happened. Without orchestrated hostility, something strange happened. The barista smiled. Subway riders no longer moved away. Clara called, apologizing. "I felt irritated every time I thought about you," she said. The external hatred evaporated, but the figure remained. Now he didn't wait for reflections. He stood at the end of my hallway, sat in my car, appeared at my bed. Always silent, always watching. The experiment hadn't created the hatred, it exposed something already present in me. I returned to Brookfield. The road looked smaller. No memorial, no sign anything had happened. I parked in the drizzle. "I didn't mean to," I whispered. The air felt heavy. Across the street, he stood. Rain slid off the plastic hood, distorting his features. Beneath it, I could make out a face, not Daniel's exactly, but close. "You left him," a voice whispered, not from the figure, but inside my head. I had. I had frozen while strangers called for help. Hatred spreads easily, especially when seeded in fertile ground. That night, he came closer. I woke to soft footsteps. He stood beside my bed, hood crinkling. Cold fingers brushed my cheek, leaving thin, burning lines. "Accountability," the voice whispered. "Not revenge, not forgiveness. Accountability." Whether the quiet index conjured him or revealed him didn't matter. Hatred was a mirror, reflecting what I refused to face. When you treat guilt like a sealed container, it ferments, it seeps, it infects. Weeks later, Halcyon's parent organization faced investigation for unauthorized psychological trials. No mention of anomalies, no explanation for deaths. Quiet Index officially never existed. But I still see him. Only when I try to rewrite the past in my head. Only when I soften my role in what happened. He appears, silent, patient, a reminder. Some experiments don't create monsters, they expose them. Hatred can be engineered, isolation weaponized, but the most dangerous contagion isn't social. It's the lie you tell yourself to survive. Once that cracks, something is always waiting on the other side of the glass.